I'm going to talk to you today about some of the things that I learned from the recent advanced practice module, which is hosted by the Institute for Functional Medicine. And what I'm talking about has to do with a term called dysbiosis. That means that there is a bacteria, parasite, or yeast that is growing on your skin or in your nose, sinuses, respiratory tree, intestines, genitals, that while it's not causing an overt infection, is causing health problems. You see, we think of ourselves as an individual, but we're actually much more like an ecosystem. I have 1 billion brain cells, a trillion body cells, and an estimated 100 trillion bacteria, yeast, and parasites that will digest my food and digest each other's byproducts as they go through the metabolic process of life. And those byproducts will diffuse into my bloodstream, where they have the potential to be helpful, as in vitamin K, or the potential to be harmful and interfere with the biological processes of my life, increasing the likelihood of diabetes, heart disease, mental health problems, and autoimmunity. So the term that I'm talking about, dysbiosis, means that there is a bacteria, parasite, or yeast species, or a group of species that is generating byproducts that confuse my own biology. So, well, let me comment as to why we have this problem. You see, for thousands of generations, humans co-evolved with the bacteria, yeast, and parasites that lived on our skin, in our bodies. And we were able to then select out those of our ancestors that were able to either safely remove the toxins or utilize the byproducts in our biology, like vitamin K. Approximately 10,000 years ago, we began eating grain. 200 years ago, we began eating a lot of grain, as in white flour, then white sugar, and then more recently high fructose corn syrup. I would say it's about 8,000 years ago that some of humans began domesticating milk-producing animals and began essentially dairies. And likewise, legumes, beans would have been about 8,000 years ago. So with each of these major new foodstuffs comes a different environment for the bacteria, yeast, parasites that live in our bowels. And so we fertilized greatly these sugar-loving bacteria, yeast, and parasites. And our dietary changes over the last 200 years, which have really accelerated over the last 50 years, have put a tremendous advantage to the sugar-loving bacteria and greatly reduced, at least for many people, the populations of old friends with which our species is very familiar. Now, the consequence for that is an increased likelihood of autoimmune problems, of severe obesity, diabetes, heart disease, mental health problems.